Hey y'all, join us, follow us, listen to us, connect with us at a rooted connection. I'm Alexandra.
And I'm Eddie.
This is an open conversation to not be ashamed of our backgrounds, but to be inspired by one another and to embrace the struggles that have made you strong, rooted, and connected to your truth.
We want to take you on a journey back to the past, deep into our roots of our lives that might have influenced us along the way, or the way we think, feel, speak, and love.
So I'm guessing since it's the weekend, we might as well revisit, our memories back to, I guess, take a trip down memory lane, back to what our weekends used to be like growing up. And I think it reflects a lot on how we are now because growing up, my weekends, my Saturdays were mostly cleaning. So I couldn't really sleep in. I don't know if you experienced the same thing, but my mom was all about cleaning on Saturdays.
No, my dad is actually, he's the reason why I'm so, such a neat freak. I remember ever since I was, 5, he would make me go with him to the car wash to go clean his car, and then you would just see me dumping out big ass... excuse me. You would see me dumping out, a big bag of, trash from the kitchen.
Yeah.
Out to the garbage cans, and then as I got older, he just found little things for me to clean, the doorknobs of every single door, the kitchen table, vacuuming. My mom taught me how to clean the bathroom, so I've learned how to do that. But it all prepared me to be ready for when I moved out, and I did. When I moved to SF State, and I had 4 other guys living with me, and they were so dirty. They did not, some of them were really bad at keeping up with their hygiene and their part of self-care. It was just really poor, and it was sad when they would blame me for not washing my dishes, but I would literally cook,
Oh my
eat,
goodness, I felt
wash
that.
my dishes right away. Even if they were still wet, I would put them right into my drawer because they would steal my dishes, and I was like, no, So yeah, that's kind of my little bit with cleaning. But now that I came back
Dang.
from SF State, I was kind of okay not having to clean, but I would do my dishes still. But now things have changed, and now my dad is like, oh, you gotta clean the sala, which is living room in English. You gotta vacuum, you gotta mop.
It's you're gonna do it anyways. That's what I always tell my mom. You tell me to clean the dishes when I'm gonna do it anyways. I noticed that I hated cleaning too when I lived here. And when I moved out, I was so thankful for the fact that they made me clean because I was just like you. I was the only one that would clean. And I felt like the mom around the house. I made sure, even if I knew I didn't make the mess, I would rather clean it than have it dirty because I knew they weren't going to do it anyways. And it's crazy to think too because the old me hated waking up early, and now I force myself to wake up early on Saturdays just to be productive like my mom. And it's crazy that your dad was the one that was a clean freak because in my household it's my mom, and my dad is just relaxing on a Saturday morning, and my mom's cleaning on a Saturday morning. Other than parties, other than cleaning, there was parties on the weekend. Most of the time too, my house was the house of parties, so we had to clean to have parties. What about you?
Oh, parties?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know, when it comes to family parties, I have had some family members ask me to help them clean, but I was little. I didn't really know that was a thing, because I thought that was all for the grown-ups and stuff. But no, that's I guess after cleaning up from a party, I would just help with taking down the chairs, like
Uh-huh.
folding them
Stacking up the chairs.
and the tables and getting it ready for like the party supply people
Pick it up.
to to pick it up. So that's most of the cleaning that I did.
My
Um,
aunt used to always bribe us and tell us they were gonna give us money. She's like, "We're gonna give $5 to each kid that helps us clean up." So our dumbasses would do it, knowing that they were not gonna give us the $5. They never paid us. I think we always reflect on it too. Me and my cousins, we're like, "You guys would get drunk, wake up early in the morning to clean, and you guys would make us clean." It happened every. It still happens actually, but it used to always happen. And they would bribe us with money. That's hilarious.
that's crazy. Yeah, like
Did you ever go through where there would be a party at your house and you would walk into your room and there was a kid sleeping on your bed?
I was actually the kid sleeping on someone's bed. Yeah.
I would always fall asleep on the chairs. I would put chairs together and I would lay on it and use the tablecloth as a blanket. That you
Whoa.
never experienced that?
No, or I would just sleep on the couch because I was like bored and wanted to go home.
Yeah.
So once I started driving, that I was just like, okay, I'm out. Like, bye.
Yeah.
Thanks for the food.
I would actually stop going to parties, family parties with my parents at some point. You outgrew it. But no, like a quinceañera, like sometimes like at a quinceañera or like at a wedding where it would be like not at a house, it would be like at a salon or something. My mom would literally prepare and take blankets and pillows and she would put them under the table that she was sitting at so we could sleep while she was at the party because that's how much she didn't want to go home. Yeah.
Dang,
I
that's
think
wild.
that like runs in my family. My family always did things like that to make the night longer, you know? We were asleep, but they weren't ready to go to sleep.
I think instead of being bored, I had to learn to like conversate with like my relatives because I'm a very shy and quiet person and I don't really like to talk because I'm very soft spoken. So in a very loud setting, I don't like to raise my voice because it sounds like I'm being rude. Um, and I feel like when I'm like next to someone, like not that far away, like a few feet apart, it's like they still can't hear me. So it's like if I have to speak up, like I just don't like
You'd rather not.
bother. Um, but it's just like I would rather just like see how it goes. Like I don't know. I just kind of have to scope out the environment and I mean if I want to like socialize, sure. If I don't, I'll probably just like be on my phone and check my emails or like look
Yeah.
busy.
That's interesting. You see, like, I come from a very aggressively spoken, very outspoken family. And, like, my sisters are really loud. My dad is really loud. My aunts and uncles are really loud. So, you either, like, and I do have cousins that are, like, more reserved like you, but I just, like, put myself completely out there because if you don't in my family, you kind of feel left out. So I kind of like ride the loud wave. We're like complete opposites. Like if you can't hear me or if someone's speaking too loud, I'll speak louder than you so you could hear me. Um, that's crazy. And that comes to show how like different our like I guess households were too, because yeah, like in my family, it's like you have to speak up. There's no need to be shy. Like my dad hated when we were shy or couldn't order for ourselves. Like, yeah, we had to like put ourselves out there. I come from a very like, I wouldn't say aggressive in a mean way. Everyone says my family's super nice, but we're just like a little crazy, a little not on the normal side.
Dang. Like my dad can be a little passive aggressive. So like when he can't hear me, he like kind of like mocks me and like mumbles and I'm and he says to speak louder and then when I do he's like don't talk to me like that and I'm just like well you said to speak louder like I like that's why I just kind of like if no one can hear me I'm just like oh it's fine like and I don't want to
I'm sure
repeat
you've
myself.
gotten used to it too.
Yeah,
I hate repeating myself. That's one thing.
definitely.
You probably do too.
Like growing up, going to family parties, obviously, like it depends the occasion you're like going to attend, and it's like your mom has you wearing a certain outfit. So my mom would always have me like wear these like button ups that like was not my style. I remember it was my aunt's 25th wedding anniversary, and everyone had to be dressed up in a button up and a tie or everything, dresses, and I was the only cousin in a t-shirt and jeans because I did not want to dress
Oh
up.
my God,
It was
honestly,
embarrassing, and
I,
people were pissed.
yeah, that was me. And sorry to interrupt you, but I played softball growing up, and I had like really bad scars on my legs from like even on my arms. Like I was just like I wouldn't say I was a tomboy because I've always loved clothes, and like my mom never really had to pick my clothes for me. I was always like someone who knew what I wanted to wear. But I grew super insecure for my legs, so I would not wear dresses. I would like wear jeans, and I would wear like a whatever like nice, I guess, blouse shirt. But I was the same. I was always the one that like didn't want to come out in the pictures. Like I always felt like I wasn't ready. Like my mom would always beg me to wear dresses too, and I was always like, no, that's not me. That's not for me. I like had to grow confidence in my legs because I have really like scarred up legs. Like scars everywhere from falling so much. I was always an adventurous kid. I played with the guys. Like I was never like a super girly girl. I always like kept up like with the guys at family parties. You know, like when they start playing tag and like you're running around in the dance floor. That was always me. I was never like the one that wanted to dance and sit. Like I wanted to like run around and be rowdy.
But to go off on that, like I think going to family parties, that's where I definitely learned how to dance. Like I remember like I got so into shuffling, and I would shuffle at family parties with my other cousins that got they actually got me into it. So I wasn't the best shuffler, but I thought I was like such a cool
Yeah,
kid when I would do it at parties or like dance to club music and like
that's
just do
crazy,
little hand
huh?
signs.
Because I feel like everyone grows like some type of passion for partying. You know, we all want to party at some point. And like when we were younger, I remember like not really like being super into parties, but that ambience of like I guess dancing with your family. Like I felt I got so much confidence in myself, like comfort in like dancing and like expressing myself like that because you don't really growing up you never really did it anywhere else. It's not like you went out to parties as a young kid. But I remember my dad forcing me to dance too because I was always super shy and reserved. Like my mom would pull me out to dance, but my dad has always been like the one that like I said, he didn't like us to be shy. He didn't like us to be like couldn't speak up for ourselves. So yeah, I think we all went through that little phase with my dad, me and my sisters, where he would make us dance and like make us put ourselves out there. Yep, had no choice.
That's crazy. My dad isn't the best dancer. I shouldn't even be saying this, but my mom would pull me to the dance floor
To dance with
when she
her.
wanted to dance because my dad didn't want to, and they you would just see them sitting together at the family party. And my mom is actually the person who taught me how to dance to like cumbias and el
Yay.
zapateado and like merengue, and I just like learned how to shake my hips, and I was like, look at me, like I can do this too. But I feel like with like COVID now, I lost my rhythm of dancing. Even when I went up to San Francisco, like I
Oh my
lost my
goodness.
rhythm, and I don't know how to dance to Spanish music anymore. So when my sister had her quinceañera earlier this year in February, like I was just like, oh, whatever. Like, if I can't really dance it well, then I'm just out there having fun. So I don't care, like, what anyone has to say. But I mean, practice makes perfect. So, you know, you have to fall back into your roots and just like learn from the bottom. So,
Crazy
yeah.
how you could fall out of it though, because that's true. When I moved to San Francisco, it's not like I went out and like danced to cumbias and Spanish music because I mean, I grew a love for that too, especially being having to party with your family and like learning from them. Like, obviously, At first, I didn't really like Spanish music, and I grew a love for it. And when I moved, it just kind of paused. Like the only time I ever listened to it or danced was when it was a family occasion, and that was like less often after being by myself. But it's also interesting how different we are because, like you said, like your dad never really like danced, and like you danced more with your mom. And my parents met at a baile, and my mom actually fell for my dad because she loved how he danced. She said that all her and her friends used to be like, "Oh my god, I hope he asked me out to dance." Like that they would all like, and it so happened that my dad asked my mom, and that's literally how they like. That's how I'm here now. Like my mom loved how my dad danced, and my dad like actually my parents in general they're always dancing at parties, but my dad is like a wild one. When he has a few too many, like he'll dance to the English music, to the Spanish music, to the rock, to the like he'll go on the dance floor and he won't come off. And like I'm more reserved, I think, because my dad is like that. I feel like I don't really need to be, like I don't compete with his level of dance because he genuinely loves it.
Dang. Like, I remember not too long ago, I just went to like a bar here in Costa Mesa, and it was so different. Like, the LGBT community here in SoCal. Like, I also went to a couple in West Hollywood, but they're so different from like the Castro in San Francisco. And like, I really differentiated like the scene, and I think I would prefer being up in SF because like everyone's doing their own thing, even though I was kind of like sad because I never got hit on. But like I guess I didn't care. I was there with my friends to have a good time too. But like I
Do you
think,
think it's the fact that you don't know anyone over there that makes it funner for you?
well, it was nice because it's like I was always known, like here with my friends in SoCal, like of being presentable, always like having a haircut. My beard was always on point, and just like having like nice, cute outfits to wear. So when I brought that aesthetic with me to SF, it was just kind of like nothing new, but obviously I was new to the community. And when I would go out on the weekends, it was always nice just like going out with the fresh cut and like having dollars to spend and
Yeah.
drop money on drinks and stuff. But um like
I guess
now
the
I
scene
miss
was
it.
different. It's like a little escape because that's how I feel when I have like a new outfit and I have the chance to go out now, and like obviously like I have the intention to spend, I have the intention to like I always plan my outfit. So if I have an outfit, I'm going to look for something to do. At least that's me. Like I always too like I'm always presentable, I guess, in a way where I have to feel myself completely to have fun. Like if I don't like what I'm wearing, if I don't like how I look, to me it's like it's not the same as when I am completely confident in what I am presenting myself with. I felt that. I loved going out in San Francisco.
It's crazy
Ooh,
because
I felt like a different person.
your
Like
parents
walking
aren't
through the
there.
city with your outfit.
Yeah, like you're on your own, and yeah, like your parents aren't there to be like, oh, what time are you coming
Exactly.
back?
That would make me feel more powerful. I'm like, my mom does not have to ask me what time I'm getting home. Wow.
I think the
That was like the most
latest,
empowering thing for me.
definitely the latest I got home was like almost 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I think me too. The thing though about the difference between SF and being back home is that over there, for some reason, everything seems to close so early. And like back home, like the parties would start at 11,
Yeah,
like
that's
10,
true.
11. Like here, um, it's it's not a city, like there's not much, like there's not a lot of cops roaming around. There's not a lot of like clubs where I'm from. I'm sure where you're from, the scene's a lot more different. Like there's like downtown and like areas full of bars. Here, there really isn't. So people are just out and about, like at home. Like they party at their houses. So like going to SF, there was more like, I guess too, because I didn't know anyone over there, you could say. but there was just more like go out to like a couple bars, at least for me, and I would go straight home. Where like here, I go from one party to the other party to the other party. So I always, when I'm home, it's like a toxic environment. I get home super late, and in San Francisco, I would always be home really early. So if I had like late occasions, it was like once in a really long time. But I'm sure you made more friends out there.
I like had to put myself on Bumble BFF because I was like, I don't know anyone. So I was lucky to actually meet one really great friend that I still keep in contact with. And we hung out like, I think once in person. That was it.
Really?
Yeah, but after
And he's in
that,
San Francisco?
he lives in San Jose, but
Oh,
yeah, like we just kept in touch through like text and messaging each other. But yeah, I was sad I never got to see him again in person. And yeah, he
did you
said,
never get to see him because of the quarantine or just because?
well, we met in like January, I think. Yeah, it was, I think we met in January.
Well,
But
that
um,
wasn't too like
long
long
ago.
before everything started.
Yeah, everything was like fun. But yeah, he's really nice and he's like one of the greatest friends I've ever had. So he said if I visited, I could literally stay at his place. But um I feel like now, I'm not gonna lie though, like being on topic with like family weekend parties, like I feel like attending parties kind of taught me how to like be presentable like like any occasion. So it's like, you know, sometimes you want to dress to impress, but if you want to keep it casual, then keep it casual. But
Hmm.
um yeah, like I just feel like it's crazy, like they tell us, our parents tell us to dress a certain way, but it's like with that concept in mind, it's like it kind of grows on to as you get older and you're like, oh, okay, I can
Definitely.
see why I have to dress a certain way for a certain occasion.
It's one of those things that you hated growing up, like having to get ready and having to look nice. And now it's like I appreciate the fact that my parents made me like at least try to like do my hair. I remember just not caring because I was a traviesa. Like I was a little rebel. Like I didn't sit still to get my hair done, but like my mom would always make me. And now I'm the person out of all my friends that like gets extra ready. Like I always like overdress, but I'd rather overdress than underdress, to be honest. Why don't you travel? Have you gone up to back to San Francisco, like to visit,
I mean,
revisit?
I just got unemployment, so I'm like ready to like
Dude, me too.
drop cash. I'm just kidding. No, I'm being responsible and using it for like important things. But I did want to plan a trip out there. I actually wanted to go this month of October, but there are bills to be paid that my
Yeah.
dad cannot help me with anymore since I'm
I
back
will
here.
say traveling is like, I mean, it's not essential to everyone, but traveling is essential in my household. Like my parents' weekends consisted of traveling. I don't know if that was your case as well, but um, my mom is from Mexicali, and the border is about like an hour and a half from my house. So we traveled a lot, almost every weekend sometimes, to Mexicali. It's not that far from me. It's a lot farther from other people, but for me, it was like a pretty normal thing to do. And my mom has brothers out there, so we did that a lot. And to Sinaloa too. Sinaloa is a lot farther though. That's where my dad's from. That's about like 14 hours. And we would do it like a lot. It was a normal thing to do. So even after this quarantine happened, like my parents still kind of like, I wouldn't say influence me, but they remind me that it's okay to still travel. Like I tell my dad all the time that I miss San Francisco, and he's like, just plan a little trip for a weekend. So I've planned a trip for a weekend. I think I'm gonna go in November,
Oh,
like the
you're
second
so
weekend after Dia de
lucky.
los Muertos.
Oh my
So I already
gosh.
booked my hotel. I'm set, and they're cheap. But for a night, it's less than $100.
Oh my god, I have to go. I was looking at Airbnbs and I was like, maybe I could stay there for like a
You
week.
should
Cause like,
invest in
yeah,
experiences.
but I already had like I lived up there for a year, so I mean, I was like, well, I think I'm okay, but I really do miss like the scene and just like being away from like family and just being on your
Hmm.
own and the growth. And it's like I just like hope I can find a career that will eventually like send me off into San Francisco like as a
Yeah.
reporter, but um again, like if I can be in LA, then that's totally fine too, but I just feel like I think I appreciate a big city with like a small town kind of people and just
Hmm.
kind of getting together, and I just like miss how your friends
You
become your
described it so
family.
well too. It's like a big city, but like the people have like like small town minds.
Yeah,
Like
like the
it's really
neighborhoods.
different than LA.
Yeah, like in LA everything is all aesthetics and it's all about
Hmm.
looks and who you know.
Dang,
And
you described it like so perfect. Like I'm still like thinking about that because I've always tried to. Everyone's like, "How's San Francisco?" And I'm like, I don't know. I just love it. It's like a city, but it's still like a pretty humble city.
there's a song and it the one that and the lyric says like if you're going to San Francisco you'll meet the most gentle people there, and honestly like facts, it's true. So like when I would go out on the weekends, like yeah, people seemed pretty reserved like when they're out and about with their friends, but I think it's like again, you can't just like walk up to a stranger because they're
No,
like gonna think
exactly,
it's weird,
exactly.
but it's like yeah, I think it's like again, it's who you know, and then once you start getting to know people through other people, then that's how your family up there kind of grows.
Hmm. I will say too, like I did notice how reserved people could be over there. Um, but the moment I just like would smile at them, they would smile back. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just like a little like everyone's kind of on the same page, I feel. Everyone's kind of feels that everyone's reserved, but they're not really reserved, but everyone just comes off reserved because we all have that same like I guess fear that everyone's reserved and we're going to be too much. But I always noticed that everyone always, I guess, was welcoming. Like if I'm someone who like I smile a lot, I like to like say hi, good morning. So I noticed that I always got like that energy reciprocated. Um, so yeah, it's like in between like reserved and not. Because in many ways too, like the LGBTQ um, community, like it's really out there over there. And I remember going to that one area. What's that town called?
The
Where like all the
Castro.
streets, Castro. It was lit over there. Like no one was reserved. It was like a completely different city, but I loved it. Like that's why I like it too. There's so many different areas, like different energies. Some areas are more like naturey, and then you have the city, and then you have the Castro. I took my cousins there once, and they were mind blown. We saw a lot of things everywhere. Um, but I think that's why I want to go to the city too, is because my cousins are gonna go with me, and my cousins are like my friends, they're like my best friends. So it's a different experience with them. It's also a different experience when you're not in school and you're not working. You know, like I feel like San Francisco when I lived there was just like my home, and then San Francisco when I'm not living there and I'm not working there is like a vacation. So I miss experiencing it that way because me and my family used to go all the time on a vacation, and then when I lived there, it's like I couldn't escape it because I was always working and going to school.
I do miss the city, and I feel like I took it for granted by not being adventurous and not
Mhm.
going out and exploring different like communities and different districts. I think until quarantine, I was able to do that and just like um, go to different parts. Like for the like on my last day before my parents drove up to help me like pack to come back to SoCal, I went with my friend to Bernal Heights, and I was like, whoa, like this little town, like, sorry, neighborhood is like really cool. But definitely my favorite district would have to be the Castro. That's
Yeah.
my number one always. And my second would have to be North Beach because they had the
Okay.
best Italian food at Golden Boys Pizza. They have the
I
best
love North
pizza.
Beach. I actually would always like reside on that side just because it was like a little bit away from everything. But I think anywhere that had food, like I was there. Like I freaking my Yelp account after I freaking left San Francisco, I had like so many restaurants saved that I still didn't get to go to. That's why I still like I want to go back. There's like so many areas that I didn't get to because I don't know, I feel like I took my time exploring the city. And sometimes I do feel regretful for not taking advantage, but in many ways like we just like didn't have enough time, you know? Like they cut our time short.
To keep up with A Rooted Connection, go on arootedconnection.com or follow us on social media at arootedconnection_KSFS. Thanks for tuning in.